it's award season, and a real pain picked up a Golden Globe. Kieran Culkin, who co-stars in this, won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor.
Hey, Benji, I just got to the airport. I really hope you left already. Oh, God, you made it.
What's up, cuz? I got some good shit from when we land.
Wait, you're not, like, taking weed into Poland, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Benji?
They don't give a shit about that stuff, man.
I think they very much do give a shit about
that.
that.
Yeah.
And this is a movie about some estranged cousins who sort of reunite for a tour through Poland to honor their beloved grandmother who recently passed away. And there's some sort of like old, I don't want to say tension, but old, like just familial things that sort of crop up on this trip. And this is like just a really simple character movie, I guess. You know, these seem like rarer and rarer these days, at least from the movies that we watch. I just think these types of movies are very few and far between nowadays. And so when award season comes around, it's a little bit exciting because you're actually watching like real movies. I hate to be that type of guy, but like, good God. It's written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, stars Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. They play the two cousins, Benji and David Kaplan.
So at first watching this movie, I was thinking, did we watch this movie because this dude looks like Dan? Like, is that why we're watching this movie?
You think I look like Kieran Culkin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Not with the big, come on. I do not look like him.
Nah, not like that.
That ain't me. That
looks psychopathic. But no, I thought it was good. Maybe it was just a bit underwhelming.
I think underwhelming is actually a big part of the plot.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
So the movie is these two guys, like it's really about them sort of reconnecting, but also connecting not with just each other, but themselves. It's basically them like sort of facing like their own like kind of personal, I don't want to say demons, but kind of demons, but also like insecurities, but against the backdrop of like a greater trauma of the Holocaust, because they're basically walking in the path of their ancestors, Polish Jews who were put in concentration camps and stuff. The whole trip is meant for them to visit their grandmother's house where she grew up in Poland, and like they visit it, and even they say, they're like, well, it's kind of underwhelming. Like, I don't know what I expected. But I think that's like the point of the movie, is that like there's not meant to be like this huge like discovery or profound thing that happens. It's just like, oh, okay, now we go back to like life as usual. Maybe we're a little bit better for the experience. Maybe we're not.
That just kind of leaves me like, what was the point of this then?
Just a character drama. This is like one of those movies that like doesn't necessarily have a point, really. It's just you're watching.
Yeah. No, I get that. We've watched plenty of those.
Yeah. You're watching
like the holdovers we watched, which was the same exact thing, but
very
that was
similar,
way more like engaging.
It had more of a character arc to it, whereas this was just character discovery per se. You weren't really, they weren't going anywhere. They were just, you're kind of walking with them through this experience. They're trudging along and you're kind of trudging along with them. So it can kind of bring the vibe of the movie down and the experience of the movie down. I can see. I mean, I don't know. As I had that feeling a few times, like, man, this is what we're doing, huh? And it was done well. So
I think it's good to be his first real film. Maybe it was a little short. It was only an hour and a half.
I actually think that's a perfect runtime for the subject matter that you're dealing with. You're dealing with like heavy subject matter. One of the main characters like attempted suicide. One of the other main characters is like really upset about that. They're both mourning the loss of their grandmother. And then we're also with them on a Holocaust trip, like visiting a concentration camp and like all these places. So I think for that, the hour and a half was like perfect.
That's fair. I think that is fair.
So I think the
for
pacing
all that
was pretty good.
Heavy subject matter and the deep topics around it, it just kind of felt empty. I don't know why I didn't really connect with this.
That's
or
fair.
feel much. Do you think this is like an Oscar-worthy movie?
It'll probably be considered for their Oscars.
No, I'm saying you personally.
Do I think it was an Oscar-worthy movie to like win or be nominated? I don't think it's worthy
either
to win. I could see it being nominated. I think the performances, were really good personally, especially from Kieran Culkin. I don't know, like Jesse Eisenberg to me, like he literally always plays this sort of like a bumbly, stumbly, like not really confident in his words, sort of like just rattled sort of character. So when I say that like his performance didn't do much for me, it's not that I don't think it was good. It's just that like he just played the same thing I've always seen him play. And then Kieran Culkin as Benji plays like the total opposite of that, which I think was the standout performance and I think was worthy of his Golden Globe win and perhaps his Oscar win if he gets nominated, which he probably will. But he plays sort of like a tactless sort of kind of asshole, but also charming in a way. They are like the complete opposites in terms of personality.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. We're here talking about this because probably because this has got nominated, I would imagine, because it's getting talked about and it's highly rated. But
no, I actually didn't realize it was going to get nominated when I picked it. I just wanted to see it.
His nomination is basically based on, we talked about his improvisation of the character.
Yeah.
A lot. So this isn't even like Jesse's character that
Directing
won the nomination. It's Kieran's take on it.
Yes.
And it's his flavor of it that really made this movie stand out for what it was. Otherwise, I think if it had been anybody else, if he'd have bailed out and he hadn't delivered that performance, I would have been like, this movie sucked. But
that's fair. So you think that like minus Kieran's performance, this movie's not that great?
I think he carried the movie. Some of these types of movies I just can't really get into. I thought it was interesting and it was entertaining, but I wasn't blown away by anything at all, really. I mean,
yeah, I think I share that opinion. I wasn't like super blown away by it. I thought it was a really good movie and I really enjoyed it. The emotional parts of it were effective for me, I think. And again, I know this sounds like a cop-out, but I think what you just described about Kieran Culkin's performance, I think was like, maybe it happened accidentally but I think that's like the whole point of that. It's like,
right.
He's really the star of the movie. And from my perspective, I know the movie's like, I know it tells you it's about both of them, but from my perspective, it's really about him. He's the one that like is kind of like dealing with the loss of their grandmother. Like he just kind of has like an empty life. Empty is sort of like subjective, but they talk about it a lot. He lives on his mom's couch in the basement and like he doesn't have a job. And like at the end of the movie, Jesse Eisenberg asks him like, "Hey, what are you going to do when you go home?" And he doesn't know how to answer. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm going to help my friend like roof his house or something." Like,
I think it's because he wasn't going home. I think that's why they showed him at the.
You think that's why?
It's like he's homeless, hanging out at the airport, and then when he got back to there, he was just hanging out again.
Do you think he's kind of just like a rolling stone?
Yeah, ever since his failed suicide attempt.
This is basically a movie about the human condition, because while Jesse is the successful one with the wife and the kid and everything together, he still had an emotional breakdown and couldn't keep it together and had his own problems. The hopelessness that he feels, Kieran's character felt this. They both felt them. They just hadn't really talked about it because they hadn't connected because they were estranged. But
yeah,
and you kind of get that messaging at the end. He's all, you used to be different. What happened to you? But I mean, that's the message I kind of got away from it. But again, this is about, it's the human condition. And
Benji kind of just came off as like, I guess like a free spirit type of kind of guy, but like, it gets to a point where it's like, oh, okay, at what age does that become acceptable? Is it acceptable or does it not matter because it's completely subjective to the individual, like how they want to live their life? I think they were dealing with different things, which is why sort of placing it against like the trauma of the Holocaust, which is like, I don't know, there was just like a juxtaposition of like millions of people being murdered versus like two individual problems that like on the grand scheme of things don't really matter that much, but they do matter because they're personal to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an interesting way to like showcase that, I thought. But like Benji, I feel like his grandmother's death probably triggered like a identity crisis of sorts of like, he probably is like, what am I going to do with my life going forward? And then from David's perspective, Benji's somebody that he always looked up to because he says it at these like, that scene at the restaurant where he's like, I don't understand. Like he's an asshole, but like everybody loves him always. He's charming. He's confident. Like I would give anything to have like a shred of that confidence. And it hit him really hard when he found out that like he tried to kill himself because he's like, wow, I want to be this guy.
My hero is human.
Even our heroes like sometimes fail. And I think that was more of the crisis that Jesse Eisenberg's character was dealing with than anything else.
For sure. I think so, yeah.
Because he could deal with his humdrum life because he always had his cousin to sort of come back to and be like, oh, he's the guy I could like turn to smoke weed on a roof. You know what I mean? So if that person's kind of in shambles, like, what does that mean for you? Kind of, that's how I took it anyway. They wanted to talk about the ending because it is kind of open-ended. And I mentioned that he like does sort of, it is him sitting back in the airport where we saw him in the beginning, sort of staring off into space. And I mean, you took it as him being homeless and like really having nowhere to go. I took it as him just kind of like contemplating like what he's going to do next. How did you take it, Dusty?
Yeah, it's him looking to what is next upon the horizon, because that's kind of where he started the whole journey of going back to see his grandma. Now that's over. Contemplation, meet somebody, go on a new adventure, and figure out what to do with his life. I would imagine, yeah, just a new chapter is really what it was about.
Well, I found a Reddit thread because I wanted to see what other people were thinking about it. This guy here on Reddit says he walked away thinking that the trip had done nothing for Benji, and that staying in the airport alone signified something darker and more troublesome was about to happen to him. Maybe another suicide attempt. This guy's wife said she thought the opposite. She thought he was looking out at the terminal with some like melancholy wisdom, and that sort of he had like, you know, had like an enlightening experience. I don't think we're meant to have an answer. I'm sure somewhere out there's like an interview with one of them where they like talk about it or give their own sort of opinions on it. When they get to their grandmother's house, you know, it's kind of like what you said. It's just like, it's like, oh, okay. I don't know what I was picturing, but here we are. And it's like still a little cathartic. And that's, I think, kind of what, I don't know, it's kind of just how I felt like the overall movie was. It wasn't just, there was nothing like sort of explosive or anything happening, really. It was just like, oh, okay, well, we've reached the end now.
I was a little perturbed by the rock scene. Let's just put a rock right in front of somebody's door. And,
Dusty was the old Polish man that comes out and yells at them.
Exactly. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Obviously, part of this, the whole premise is like, you know, reflecting on, you know, yourself via past generations and like your family history and like how that shapes like present day and all this stuff. And he says that line at the dinner table when he was crying, Jesse Eisenberg, where he says, I forget how he worded it. I should have wrote it down, but he like describes his grandmother and like how amazing it was. I think he calls her like a miracle that she like survived these people coming after her to kill her. And he says something like, how does the offspring of a miracle like end up trying to kill himself on a dingy couch or something like that is how he put it.
Just because you're the survivor of something doesn't mean you have to be, you're not going to be a perfect.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I actually like that monologue from Jesse.
Like, of course.
Yeah.
Your grandmother's experience does not mean that you need to be as strong as her or whatever.
The statement to me was, imagine enduring that much struggle and that much hardship, and the fruit of that being this dysfunction that we're witnessing right now. That's a shame.
Right.
And to an extent, he's not wrong, but at the same time, he is wrong because, like you guys say, it's not an extension of.
For the trauma is like the root of the dysfunction. Like without the trauma and all the background and all that, like he could have been a totally different person. So it's silly to say that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Well, after we discussed it, I have a more appreciation for it, like I always do, which is why I'm glad we do this. So,
okay. Hey, listen, I'm not telling you have to like it. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
I understand all the feelings that you have for it too.
Yeah. Just talking about it, you just think about it more. And
yeah, sometimes things need a little bit more of a deeper thought than like surface level stuff, you know?
Yep.
Movies are just increasingly less like this. So,
yeah.
They're very surface level and like ugly looking and just bullshit. And so it's tough because it's jarring when you actually like come out, you watch like a real movie, you know what I mean? And not everything is going to resonate with you on a super deep level, but also it's like Dusty described it. It's like you're just kind of like watching these two characters, maybe not grow, but just experience things and like question things about themselves and each other. And that's okay sometimes, you know?
Yep.
So
you're watching turmoil is what you're watching.
Yeah, you're just watching the human experience really play out. But it is getting pretty good praise. It's got a 7.3 on IMDb, the most important praise of all. I'm right there with it. I would give it a 7. How about you, Marvin?
Yeah, 7.5.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely
7.
there.
Not worth the bump. It's a 7.
7, okay.
Oh, we don't do halves, right? So it's a 7.
We don't do halves.
No, we do halves.
Oh yeah, you can do 7.5. We just don't do like 7.3s.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's why
we don't do other fractions. Half is the only fraction.
Yeah. No, I'm glad we watched it. I enjoyed it. Leave a comment, folks. Let us know what you thought of A Real Pain. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Let us know.